Hey guys, so this week in Multicultural Education of Pluralistic Society, we talked about chapters 8 and 9, and they talked about religion and regions and the differences between religion and how religion varies between region to region, and how there's just differences in between religions and differences between region to region. So where you go, there you're going to experience different things, different cultures, whatever. All right, so we're going to talk about three things today. The main one is religion in school. All right, and then and the impacts that they actually have, like religion has in school and in the school environment. And then we're going to talk about Islam and religion. And this is a growing concern within a lot of schools. A lot of parents, especially in the South, where I am, are more concerned about it. But really, it's just you need to be aware, have awareness, and respect and kind of understanding. But anyways, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And then we're going to talk about regional differences. So differences between region to region within religion, and then just region to region like suburbs, rural areas versus urban areas. All right, we're going to be talking about all that today. But before we do, one bone that I had to pick with the book is while the book talks about like different differences and at least within religion, okay, and the impacts that religion has on the school environment and the issues that they're trying to win, like getting prayer back into school, or maybe a Jehovah's Witness not wanting to, say the Pledge of Allegiance, stuff like that. Okay, it did a good job addressing that. However, what I don't think it talked about enough was basically how religion could be used in a negative way within the school system. So, especially where I'm at, the majority of people here are Christian. Now, if there is an Islamic student, a Muslim student within our school, that person is viewed in a very negative way, or any religion that isn't Christian. So Buddhism, what is that? Why are you Buddhist? You're weird, and stuff like that. And people will just kind of bash on people because they don't believe in what they believe in. And I think that's an issue within today's culture. And I don't think the book addressed that enough. All right, because within the schools, you're going to experience that a lot. Religion playing a role essentially in bullying. And how to address that as a teacher, I think you just need to be understanding, and then you need to teach kids the right way. So differences between cultures and religions and stuff like that. So that way they're not ignorant when they go into when they think about another person or another culture, another religion. All right. So I think the book could have talked about that a little bit more, but on to some of the good parts. So in chapter 8, it talks a lot about religion in school. You do have people, like I said before, the Jehovah's Witnesses who don't want to say the pledge, or people fighting to get prayer back in school. And there's just a number of things that are being done to have more religion within the school. Christian fundamentalists wanting creationism taught in the school system. All those are main issues that are going on today within the school environment. Now, religion in school can be a very interesting thing. Okay, if you don't address religion in a proper way, then you can be seen as a bigot or someone who's not going to be accepting of another person and their religion. All right. It depends really where you're located. So playing a little bit into chapter 9, depends where you're located, what kind of religions that you'll be dealing with, and the issues that go along with that. However, it is important to focus on religion within the school and use religion kind of to help explain certain things. I see that in history class. So if we're talking about the Crusades, I'm going to talk about Christianity and talk about the role that it played and the Catholic Church played within the Crusades. What was being pushed for, what the Pope wanted, essentially just educating people on religion and the role that it has played throughout history. And even in today's modern culture, I like to open up in my classes with either some CNN student news or some CNN regular news, or there's another one. It's used in middle schools a lot. I'll think about it. I'll probably let you know next week. Anyways, I like to open up with some current issues within the world, and I like to talk about how religion plays a role in these issues. All right, and so that's used in the school environment to kind of help grow awareness of different religions, help grow understanding of different religions, and help take it off the mindset that, everybody here, if you're not Christian, you're weird, which is, here in the South, in Tennessee. So it just helps me personally to be able to talk about other religions within the school, so that way it opens up people's eyes to different cultures. But it did a good job. The book did a really good job talking about how religion impacts the school environment. And the next thing that I want to talk about, since we're on the topic of religion, and it did bring this up in the book, but it is something that I don't think was covered very well by the book, is Islam within the school. Now, it's a growing concern, and it has been since really September 11th. So it has been a growing concern, and especially here in the South, it's a concern. But if you go to the north or places that are more accepting, it's not really a concern. It's not a big issue if you're a Muslim. But there is the issues here, and I think that's due to misunderstanding and people not being informed. One thing that I dealt with personally was we had to teach more Islamic beliefs within the history classes that we taught this past year. Now, when we were teaching them, a lot of the parents were like, I don't know what they're teaching my kid. I don't want them up in there, learn about these things and teaching them about these terrorists. And I just heard ignorant comments like that. I'm not up there in class in a full-on imam dress, preaching the Quran every day. I'm just teaching kids, the basics of what it is to be a Muslim, how life is different for these people. And I think it would do well to know that there is a difference between extremists and regular Muslims. And you don't see that issue being talked about a lot in today's American society within school, because parents or students are very ignorant to what they go through and what the religion is all about, and the differences between those extremists and them. So I think that the book could have done a little bit better job talking about that as well. But it did talk a little bit about Islam in school and how it impacts the students there within that school environment as well. Which, if you're Islamic or Muslim, and you're in a school environment, you can be picked on, but you can also have a number of things. You don't have a number of things that other religions may have, like the opportunities and stuff in their school, like prayer time for you guys. Sometimes it's not the greatest. So, anyways, could have talked a little bit more about that, but moving on, it brings in a good me into my next topic, which is regional differences. And the first thing I'm going to talk about in regional differences, this is chapter 9, was religion. Okay, there's regional differences, and religion varies wherever you go. So if you go to a certain region over here and a certain region over there, okay, you're going to believe in different things, most likely. The South had like 86% of people saying that God plays a major role in their lives. And then in the West, over in like places like Cali, like 59% of people said the same thing. So there's just a big difference between if you're teaching on the Bible Belt and you go over to Cali, where things are more accepting, and the majority of people believe in different things. Okay, as compared to out here where you have the majority just Christian. That's how it's always been. All right, so there are differences between region to region within religion. There's also differences in like social economic status from region to region. So if you go to Baltimore as compared to going over to Here, Tennessee. Yeah, well, let's just do it here. If you go from Baltimore to being in Tennessee, okay, you're going to experience two different worlds. You're going to have a more urban area to where there's more diversity, there's different religions, there's different culture groups, and you come over here to Tennessee where the majority are white, and there's just different mindsets between the two people. You're going to have different social economic statuses. In urban areas, you may have some people, being more wealthy, especially if you go more upwards towards like New York, than people in this area here. But if you take people in this area and compare them to Baltimore, you actually have a little bit more of a wealthy population if you come out here. So there's just differences between social economic status. There's also differences in just normal everyday life cultures. Okay, you have over here you have a lot of people. Like I said, the majority is white. A lot of people don't necessarily care too much about going to college as compared to if you go to an urban area. It might be the same way, but you have people wanting to make it out, right? People here are going to be more focused on working jobs that their fathers have worked, or working jobs like Eastman or something like that. It's in Kingsport, and kids will just be like, hey man, I'm going to get a job at Eastman. I don't really need to go to college. I'm not worried about school. Okay, over there, they do have, in Baltimore, they have different problems. You're like, I'm more concerned about, what's happening back home. My friend got shot at today, such and such, but I do want to make it out, I do want to go to college. And then if you take both those places, you compare them to the suburbs, it's a huge difference. I mean, it's a different ball game. Suburbs, you're going to have different expectations as a teacher teaching within the suburbs, because all those kids are expected to go to college. If you have higher economic status kids, they're expected to go to college. So they're going to have more emphasis on their education, and you're going to have more people wanting to get further educated. So there's differences when you're teaching from region to region in general. All right, so that's basically what it talked about in the book for chapters 8 and chapter 9. But two things that I would like to improve upon within today's culture and society is, number one, is to be more conscientious of people's cultures and religions. If you're not aware and you don't understand people's culture and religion, you can offend them, you can hurt them, and you can just look stupid. So I think people need to become educated and informed. Number two, I would think what also needs to be improved upon is helping others to kind of understand these different cultures. If you don't understand them, then you're not going to be able to learn more about it. And if you don't understand different cultures and different religions, then when you get out of your own zone, like if you leave your own zone, if you leave your own city, you leave Tennessee and you go over to Baltimore, you're going to experience different religion, different culture there. And if you don't understand it, then you're going to experience culture shock. So I think it's important. Overall, it's important to understand different religions and different cultures. All right, now two things that I'm going to put into practice within my classroom when I get one is, number one, I definitely want to teach differences. So let kids become aware and become educated on differences in culture and differences in religion. And number two, I also would like to teach more religious acceptance. Because if somebody's different from yourself, as far as like the skin tone goes, if me being half black is different from, white Justin, there's going to be different experiences, different cultural, differences just in general between me and him, and just different lifestyles, different backgrounds, grew up to different places. Okay, so teaching religious acceptance and teaching differences is very important within the school. Okay, because kids need to know the differences between two different people, because they're going to leave and they're going to go experience another culture, and they need to know. All right, one thing that I would want to ask, kind of to wrap this up, basically, is I would like to know if the roles were reversed and there were more Muslims than Christians, would we want the Muslims to be more understanding of our religion? All right. So that about does it. That's chapter 8 and chapter 9, Multicultural Education of Pluralistic Society. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace.